The rain didn't just fall on the outskirts of the city, it hammered against the pavement like a rhythmic interrogation. Henry Caldwell sat in the driver's seat of a rusted 2005 sedan, a vehicle he'd purchased in cash from a scrapyard 3 days ago just for this charade. Behind him, 30 miles away, sat a glass and steel empire that controlled the shipping lanes of the Atlantic. In his pocket was a phone that, if he pressed a single button, could devalue a national currency. But today, Henry didn't want power. He wanted the truth. He looked at his hands. They were clean, too clean for the faded denim jacket and the grease-stained cap he wore. He rubbed them against the floor mat of the car, grounding the grit into his cuticles. He needed to look invisible. He needed to look like a man who had reached the end of his rope and found it frayed. The world is a marketplace, he whispered to the fogged windshield. Everyone has a price. Everyone is waiting for the bigger check. Henry had spent 40 years building a fortress of wealth, but lately, the walls felt cold. He had become convinced that every smile directed at him was bought, and every "thank you" was an invoice in disguise. He decided to conduct an experiment, a litmus test for the human soul. He would find the place where hope went to die and see if kindness still lived there. He stepped out into the mud, the cold biting through his thin, ordinary shoes. He approached the Dusty Plate, a roadside diner where the neon sign flickered with a rhythmic, dying buzz. Asterisk blink. Blink. Buzz, asterisk inside, the air was thick with the scent of burnt coffee, fried onions, and industrial-grade floor cleaner. He slid into a booth in the far corner. The vinyl was cracked, a jagged line running across the seat like a scar. He waited. He watched. She didn't walk, she navigated. Maya moved through the diner with the practiced fluidity of someone who had memorized every loose floorboard and every temperamental burner. Her skin was the color of deep mahogany, contrasting sharply with the starch-white apron tied firmly around her waist. Henry watched her from under the brim of his hat. He was a hunter looking for a weakness. He looked for the sigh of resentment when a customer dropped a fork. He looked for the eye roll when a truck driver complained about the cold. He saw none of it. Maya approached his table. Her name tag was slightly crooked, pinned above a heart that seemed to beat for the entire room. "Rough night out there, sugar," she said. It wasn't a line. It was an observation. She didn't look at his faded jacket with pity, she looked at his eyes with recognition. "Coffee?" "It's hot, it's black, and the first one's on me until you find your legs." Henry felt a phantom twitch in his chest. "I didn't ask for a freebie," he muttered, his voice gravelly, staying in character. Maya didn't flinch. She set a ceramic mug down, chipped at the rim, but steaming. "You didn't have to ask. You look like you're carrying the weight of the world, and I've got a pot full of something that might make it a pound lighter." "Breakfast?" 2 eggs. Toast. "Cheapest thing you've got," Henry snapped. As she walked away, Henry reached into his pocket. He felt the crisp, $100 bills tucked into a hidden lining. Then, he felt the crumpled, pathetic $5 bill he had set aside for the insult. For the next hour, Henry became the customer from hell. When Maya brought the eggs, he claimed they were rubbery. She apologized with a genuine smile and had the cook make a fresh batch. When she refilled his coffee, he accidentally knocked the spoon onto the floor. She knelt, retrieved it, and brought a sterilized one within seconds. He watched her handle a table of 4 teenagers who were loud and messy. He watched her comfort an elderly woman who was counting out nickels to pay for a side of toast. Maya didn't treat the woman like a burden, she treated her like a guest of honor. Henry's cynicism began to itch. "It's an act," he thought. Asterisk, she knows I'm watching. No, she can't know. To her, I'm just a broke old man in a damp jacket, asterisk. When the bill came, it was $12.45. Henry reached into his wallet and pulled out the $5 bill. He laid it on the table with a deliberate, slow motion. It was an insult. In the world of service, a $5 tip on a difficult, long-stay meal is a slap in the face. He stood up, zipped his jacket, and headed for the door, pausing just long enough to see her reaction. He expected her to huff. He expected her to toss the bill in the trash or mutter a slur under her breath about cheapskates. Instead, he heard footsteps behind him. "Excuse me, sir." Henry turned, his heart hardening. Here it comes, he thought. The demand for more. Maya stood there, the $5 bill held out between her thumb and forefinger. Her expression wasn't one of anger, but of deep, quiet concern. "Sir, you forgot this," she said softly. "It's a tip," Henry spat. "Keep it." Maya stepped closer, her eyes searching his. "Sir, I saw you checking your watch. I saw the way you looked at the rain. I think you're going somewhere far, and you look like you need the gas money or a warm meal tomorrow more than I need this today. Please. Take it back." Henry froze. The air in the diner felt suddenly thin. "You're turning down money? Look at this place, Maya. You're working double shifts. You have a son to feed." He pointed to the photo by the register. She smiled, and it was the most expensive thing Henry had ever seen. "Kindness isn't measured in what's in the bank, mister." "Henry," he whispered. "Well, Henry, I don't want you leaving here thinking you disappointed me. I'm grateful for your business, not your tip. My joy doesn't have a price tag." Something inside Henry Caldwell, the steel, the ice, the decades of distrust, cracked wide open. The next morning, the board of Caldwell International was in a panic. The CEO hadn't shown up for the merger meeting. Instead, he was in a wood-paneled office with his lead attorney. "Rewrite it," Henry commanded. "The will. The trust. Everything." "But sir, your cousin's in London." "They haven't called me since the last dividend check," Henry interrupted. "Cancel the gala donations. Cancel the vanity projects. I want a foundation built on quiet acts. I want it to find the people the world ignores." 2 weeks later, a black limousine pulled up to the dusty plate. The engine purred like a jungle cat. The door opened, and a man stepped out in a bespoke charcoal suit, his hair swept back, his presence commanding the very oxygen in the parking lot. The diner fell silent. The cook stopped flipping burgers. The truck drivers lowered their mugs. Maya was wiping down the counter. She looked up, squinting against the sunlight reflecting off the chrome. She didn't recognize the suit, but she recognized the eyes. "Henry?" she asked, her voice hovering between confusion and awe. Henry walked to the counter. He didn't say a word. He placed a thick, cream-colored envelope on the formica surface. "I came back to give you a better tip," he said. Maya shook her head, backing away. "I told you, Henry. I don't want your money. This isn't just money, Maya. Open it." With trembling fingers, she tore the seal. Inside were 3 documents. 1, a deed to a house, no more rent, no more double shifts in a crumbling apartment. 2, a full-ride scholarship for her son, Marcus, to any university in the world. 3, an appointment letter. Director of Community Outreach, the Elena Caldwell Foundation. "You said you wanted to make sure no child feels like a burden," Henry said, his voice thick with emotion. "I spent my life thinking everyone had a price. You proved me wrong. You didn't pass my test, Maya. You rewrote it." Maya looked at the papers, then at the man who had sat in the back booth in a faded jacket. Tears tracked through the flour dust on her cheeks. "Why me?" she whispered. Henry took her hand, the hand of a worker, a mother, a hero. "Because true wealth isn't about what you gather. It's about what you give when you have nothing left. You're the richest person I've ever met." As Henry walked out of the diner for the last time, he left a single $5 bill on the table. But this time, it was framed. Underneath it, he had scribbled a note. To the world, you may be a waitress. But to a soul in the rain, you were a lighthouse. True power isn't found in the towers we build, but in the hearts we touch. True wealth listens. True power learns. And sometimes, a $5 test reveals a $1 million heart. If this story touched your heart, then like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more emotional and inspiring stories every day.